Hi, welcome to OurVentura.com. I'm Mary Heet, your host for today, and we're going to be talking about beer. My guest is Dan Baker. He's a home brewer here in Ventura. Welcome.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm anxious to hear about making beer.
And I love talking about it.
Well,
so,
how do you do it at home?
So how do you do it at home? Well, I've been doing it at home since 1994. And in the simplest terms, if you can cook at home, you can brew beer. I started with a brew pot that was 5 gallons that I got from an Army surplus store. And I think my most expensive piece of equipment was a capper that was about $50.
Was this in college or?
This was in college.
I figured.
Yeah. Yeah, it just turned, well, I don't want to date myself, but
That's all right.
I just became legal.
Okay.
And I'm a scientist, and so I had friends that were brewing, and they taught me how to brew, and that's how I started, and then haven't really looked back.
So it's a little bit scientific.
Oh yeah.
Process.
Yeah, very much.
Exact.
It doesn't have to be exact. I mean, they were brewing for centuries without any sophisticated equipment. It was mostly oral tradition techniques, and I mean, it helps to have some grasp of how to be clean.
I would imagine.
And sanitary, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to make beer.
Okay, is it a basic recipe?
It's you could start in a number of ways. I've kind of moved on to more advanced brewing called all grain, where you start from the raw malted barley. But there's ways to make it with just a syrup. So you could go to the store, buy a can of syrup, mix it with boiling water, boil that with some hops, and then add your yeast, and a couple weeks later you have beer.
So is this recipe available to anybody, or do you have...
Sure.
Like when you began, did you look up on the internet? How did you... Did you have an old family recipe?
Right. Well, I think I did. My dad was a home brewer and told me stories about blowing up bottles and stuff like that. So my mom was a little reluctant to have me start. But when I first started, I had a book that's still referred to as the Home Brewer's Bible, and I still use it, which I used.
Really?
Yeah, Charlie Papazian, he's kind of the god.
Like the godfather of home brewing?
Yeah, and he's the president of the Brewers Association still, and a real advocate for home brewing.
Now the Brewers Association, that's a national organization?
That's the National Professional Commercial Brewers Association.
That's right.
And then attached to that is the American Home Brewers Association.
And VIBE is?
VIBE is a part of that, and any homebrew club can be a part of the American Home Brewers Association. It allows you to be advertised on their website and participate in different club events that they have.
How do you become a brew club?
A brew club, you just get your friends together and start.
Do you have to have a certain number of members, or?
No, when we started we had 3. And then the first meeting I think we had 6. And it grew from there, and now we have about 50, and 30 of which come to every monthly meeting.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a good crowd.
It is a great crowd.
How did you acquire the members? Just word of mouth?
Word of mouth, lots of friends. I work at a biotech company that used to have a homebrew competition, and so I knew a lot of people that I worked with that were homebrewers in the area that wanted a club like this. So that was
science project, huh?
It is.
That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, I love beer, and I mean I love all beer. It doesn't have to be just craft beer, but if you want to make a good living food at home, there's nothing more satisfying, I think.
I've always been under the impression that beer was healthy for you. I don't know where I came up with that notion, but
it is on a couple fronts. There are always studies saying that moderate alcohol consumption helps. That's one. Unfiltered homebrew has all the yeast in there, which is loaded with B vitamins, and
like you said, barley and hops, and it's yeast, barley,
hops, and water.
And then how do you decide to make it I believe like a lager versus a stout? Forgive my...
Okay, so as you can see on my shirt, I have there's about 90 different styles of beer. And so there's 2 big families, lagers and ales. Most of what people consider beer that they know is a lager, like all the commercial Budweisers, those kind of things.
Correct.
German lagers, pilsners, those are all lagers. And the difference is the ingredients, and the yeast is the key. They're fermented cold. Lager in German means to store or to age.
I see.
And they used to age them over the winter, and that would give the beer time to mellow out. That's why people really like it, because it's easy to drink. It's a very smooth product. Ales, on the other hand, are fermented at a little warmer temperature.
Like a Guinness would be an ale.
Guinness is one. Most of the
dark.
English styles. It doesn't have to be dark.
Oh, really?
Pale ales, Sierra Nevada. Those are all ales.
And it's not cured as long, or
it
doesn't sit as long.
The ale yeast ferment in about a month.
I see.
Whereas like lager yeast would take several months to really get a good product.
Actually, that's a good point. How long does it take to make beer?
I think for me, I've had a situation where I had to have a beer ready in about 2 weeks, and I think I did it.
Really? And how did it taste?
It was good. It tasted young, but it was good. There's ways to build up your yeast numbers, because if you imagine, they're all chewing on the sugars that are going to become the beer. And so the more you have, the quicker that process goes. And so if you can build that up, that's where it helps to be a scientist. I grow my yeast up to a point where they'll go very quickly through fermentation.
How delicate of a process is that? Let's say for the layperson, like myself and my husband, if we wanted to go make beer at home, do I need a special kind of container? You know,
that's a good question.
I call you to get my hops or my barley, or how do I do it?
Well, there's a local homebrew shop in town with the Surf Brewery homebrew shop now. So you would get your ingredients from them. Yep, that's new, just opened this summer. And it's a great place. They have nice, fresh ingredients. But as far as, like I said, when I started, I had a 5-gallon brew pot, and I bought syrup. You could do it in a bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot.
Stainless steel?
I started in glass.
Ceramic?
But you could be plastic. But stainless would be great. But a plastic bucket literally would be fine. Okay. And then you just need a couple hoses to move. The
plastic one, we don't have to worry about whatever.
About leaching into the beer?
Yeah.
No. They have food grade plastic buckets that I would recommend. The problem is sometimes if you're cleaning them and you scratch them, the scratches make places for infections to sit.
Right. Then you compromise the integrity of the...
But glass, I've heard horror stories of people breaking glass and cutting their arms. And
well, that's why I have those salt glaze jars or jugs that I've collected over the years. Well, not a lot of them.
So they can take a hit.
That's what's for beer, right?
Yeah.
So that's to keep, so you can store it for a long time.
That's right. Yeah, but you really only need, I tell my friends all the time that they can get started for under $100.
Really?
Yeah. And that would be pretty basic brewing, but it can be done.
So a 5-gallon pot.
A 5-gallon pot, a 5-gallon something to ferment it in, whether it's a bucket.
Pack of Fleischmann's?
That would work.
Right. That would work.
Yeah.
But not recommended.
But you know, the ingredients you typically brew in a 5-gallon, that's what people start at, 5-gallon batch. And
so are you guys all pretty serious, or is it a little more social? How many people are in your club now? You started?
Like I said, there's 50 or so. Some guys brew 20-gallon batches.
Wow.
I brew 11-gallon batches. A lot of them brew 5-gallon batches.
And you swap or share, or is this personal consumption? I'm sure there's laws or something.
There are laws. I mean, you can. We encourage members to bring homebrew to the meetings, to share, for feedback.
Tasting and so forth.
Yep.
And that's all legal.
That's legal. That's fine. Yeah.
Right.
The only trouble you run in with homebrew is if you go to a festival where you want to sell it, or somebody's paying for tickets for that. That's a gray area.
Money's involved, right?
Yep. Then even this homebrew festival that I was telling you about earlier, we're allowed to pour there because they make it like you're a member of this association.
I see.
So it's a members event instead of it being like
similar as like a dry county might treat
something like that. Yep. Yeah.
Treat the situation.
The laws vary from state to state. It's a mess.
So now, are you sanctioned in with a national organization? Is Vibe? How does Vibe work in Ventura?
Vibe works in Ventura. Well, we support the Ventura County Fair. Their homebrew.
Oh, great! Did you have tasting this past just a few weeks ago?
Yep,
actually.
I was the head judge, and in case
I missed it.
In case you want to taste beer, we need more judges.
I'm catching it next year. I'm gonna. Oh, is that right?
We do. There were a lot of entries and very few judges.
I'm not sure if I'd be a good judge because I don't know all the intricacies of it. Like I would if you were giving me Chardonnay, perhaps, but not necessarily beer. Although I like a good cold beer at a baseball game or a hockey game.
It's more just having a palate.
I grew up with beer.
Yeah. If you're sitting with somebody that knows what they're doing, you don't have to know what you're doing to be able to say what you taste.
Well, some people are very selective, I know, about their beer, just like other people are about, like I said, wine or other libations, whatever.
Right, so we support the Ventura County Fair homebrew competition. The California Beer Festival is held every September in Mission Park in downtown Ventura.
Oh, that's
and so
nice.
we help out with that. We pour beer there. As far as like the California Homebrewers Association, that's kind of like our bigger realm of vibe, and then American Homebrewers Association beyond that.
I see. Now, do you have to answer to the Brewers Association in any way?
No.
It just is to your benefit that you're part of that national organization?
Yeah, I mean, it's
get more information?
Yeah, it's nothing more than we get discounts at certain, and can be involved in some club events that they throw, and then our name gets out there. I've had many members call me because of my name being on the
Right. Well, that's my
website.
next question. How does anybody know how to get involved in your club, for example, or is it open to new people?
It's always open to new members. We take dues once a year. It's $20 for the year.
Well,
it's
that's not
nothing. And then we just ask people to bring beer to every meeting, and that's all the requirement there is.
What if they're no good at making it? So can they buy some at the store on their way over and just still show up for the the meeting?
Yeah. So we highlight one. We highlight one style, and we
Right.
usually have a schedule so people can brew it in advance. And if they don't, there are non-brewers in the club too. And
Or
so
if they do and they are no good at it and they don't want to. They'll bring it, they go, don't drink it. You know?
And I don't mind.
I speak for myself,
Yeah.
probably.
I don't mind that, but people have brought the beers that they think taste terrible, and they prelude.
Well, to say, help critique and make it better, I would think, if you're serious about, especially a science guy.
Yep, and it's pretty funny when somebody walks up to you and says, "This tastes terrible, please tell me what you think."
Well, that's nice. And do you?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's
usually
great.
you can kind of tell what the
you
flaw
take it
is.
seriously, obviously.
Yeah, you can tell them. Or you can, that's another good thing about the club. You'll have 5 or 6 guys trying to troubleshoot this one problem, and everybody has a different idea.
So you started it in college, now you're married. And how did your wife, it's something that you guys do together now, I take it?
She lets me do it. She supports me by watching our kids while I brew.
There you go. Well, so she's not in there trying to help with the recipe or anything like that. You guys don't.
No, she's my taster.
No, a little more of this. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and she knows what
she probably needs a beer at the end of the day if she's watching the kids. She's like, I'll taste it.
She does, yeah. But when I first met her, the homebrew was what won her over.
Oh, good. That's
and I brewed
good.
for our wedding. All the beer at our wedding was my homebrew.
Oh, how fun is that?
Yeah, it's great.
That's great. So, and all your friends.
Yeah.
Are you still the same guys in college that you started with, or
No,
involved?
I went to school in Northern California, and I don't live near any of them anymore. But no, I still talk to them. Some of them brew.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time now, and I just, it's been a pleasure talking to you. So, if there's anybody out there that wants to learn more about it, what is there a website or any way to get in touch with you? Or
Sure, like I said, so on the California Homebrewers Association website, my name is listed, and our club Vibe.
Dan Baker, right?
Yep, Ventura Independent Beer Enthusiasts.
There you go.
It's also on the American Homebrewers Association, and if you type in Ventura Independent Brew Enthusiasts or Beer Enthusiasts,
right,
that will
or Vibe, I would imagine that's your acronym, or no?
Well, Vibe brings. There's a Vibe magazine. There's other things that are not beer related that would come up with that. But if you type in Ventura Independent Beer Enthusiasts, you'll get
that's
on the right
that's
track.
what that acronym represents.
Yeah.
Is Ventura Independent Brewers
Beer
Enthusiasts. Now,
right.
see?
I have a hard time remembering too. So
Great.
Yeah.
Well, great. It's been a pleasure talking to you today.
All right. You too.
And thank you all for watching. OurVentura.com.